So in this video, what we're doing is using the skirt block and the bodice block, combining them in order to create a dress block for you at UTS. So I'm starting with the back. I've started by drawing a long line, so long enough for both of my blocks. I'm placing the center back of the bodice block on the line, and I've traced around all the way around. Now, because I'm using pens and I'm unable to rub out lines as I use them, what I'm going to do is to mark my original dart positions in green. So this is just to help you see where I've moved from and where I've moved to. Now, you guys don't have to use green when you're making this change yourself. You'll be using pencil and then rubbing it out as you go. So I'm going to draw my back waist dart on in green. Now I need to position the skirt in the right spot. So the center back of the skirt needs to be in line with the center back waist of the bodice. But we have a curve here. So the first thing that we need to do in order to line this up correctly is to draw ourselves a parallel line parallel with this center back position. So I have my grain line here. I'll also, depending on how you print out and label your blocks, you can use either side. So I'm using the back side of my block, which means I've had to redraw on my dart and my grain line. So I'm extending this grain line up to the waist, and then measuring across from there to the center back, which is 7.8 centimeters. So now I'm going to mark 7.8 centimeters down here and further down. 7.8. Now I'm going to use a long ruler to mark this on. So I'm lining up the ruler with this waist and center back junction, and then drawing this line all the way down. Now I can line up these 2 points with the hem, the position at the hem, and the junction here. What's happening on the side seam is there's a fair bit of overlap, probably about 12 mils. So I'm going to drop this down 6 mils to reduce that overlap at the side seam. This isn't an exact science. This is about making compromises, using a little bit of logic, and then remembering that each pattern that you make, you'll be testing, you'll be trialing and seeing how it fits on the body. So it's rare that a pattern will fit perfectly first time, and you often need to test them and make adjustments. So I've moved it down about 6 mils, so the overlap on the side seam is a little bit reduced. Now I'm ready to put the weight on and trace around. And this pen is not very happy. Here we are. Okay, I'm also going to mark my waist dart on the skirt in green as well, for the same reason, so that we can see the changes that we've made. Now we've got our blocks lined up in position and our darts marked. The main thing that we need to do in this process is to bring the darts into alignment in terms of their position and also their size. So what we'll do for the back is to move the back waist dart in line with the back skirt dart, and also to reduce the size so that it matches there. To do that, we'll be extending a right angle line from the centre back in line with the dart and drawing that across our pattern. Then we'll be measuring from the centre of the dart. We'll measure the centre of the waist dart. I'm getting confused with all my darts, so that's it's 3 centimetres, so 1.5. And we're going to draw a line extending from the waist dart up to this line here. So now we have the new position for the end of our dart. So we can draw, I'm going to use red to make it really easy for you guys to see. So our new dart. So here is our new dart position. Now we can see on the side seam, this extra that we have here is accounted for in this larger dart. So rather than measuring and taking off a particular amount here, we're simply going to blend it down to the waist where it meets the skirt. So angling it down to here. And then using our French curve just to smooth that junction. Now we need to mark our dart. We have a centre line drawn already, so we know that for the end of the darts we mark a position that is 15 mils from the end of the dart for our drill hole. So we do 15 mils on each end. When marking the drill holes on the side of the dart here, we take the widest point, which is right here at the waist, and then we mark our drill hole in 5 mils from the widest point. So now I've smoothed the side seam, I've joined the skirt and the bodice together, and we've joined these 2 darts into one dart that comes up here down to the skirt, and its widest point is at the waist. This pattern piece now is ready for a grain line to finish the outside with hems, seam allowances all the way around, and our labelling. So the labelling for our back skirt will be cut 1 pair self. We'll have 12 mils on the armhole, 12 mils on the shoulder, 6 mils on the neck, 12 mils on the centre back all the way down, 12 mils on the side seam, and a 3 centimetre hem. Before we do that, I'm going to continue with the front of the dress. So rather than ruling a line as I did with the back, I've got my paper already folded down here, and I've got my centre front fold on the skirt and my centre front fold on my bodice block. So I'm going to start by placing the bodice directly in line with the fold, place a block on it and trace around. Don't forget your bust point drill hole. Now this dart to the shoulder won't be changing. We'll be changing the darts down here at the waist in order to connect the skirt to the bodice. So I'm going to draw this one in black, and then I'll draw this one in green. Okay, now we line up the center front skirt. So again, if I bring it right up in line, we have a 1.5, 1.6 overlap at the side seam. So I'm dropping it down as a compromise so that it's about halfway between those 2 points. And then I'm making sure my center front is right on the fold of the paper. Placing a weight on it and tracing around. And I'm marking my drill hole in green. Drawing my skirt waist dart in green. Now, what we need to do, again, is to bring these two darts into alignment. On the front, the large darts in the bodice are creating shaping around the bust. So we don't actually want to change the position of those bust darts because that will affect the fit of the garment. What we're going to do instead is to move the waist dart in the skirt into alignment with the bust dart, but taking the bust dart down to the same size that we have here in the skirt. That sounds a bit complex. I'll show you in step-by-step movements. So first of all, we're going to rule a perpendicular line from center front that meets the top of our skirt dart. So making sure your ruler is in line with the center and then drawing that line across. Then we rule a straight line down from the center of our waist dart in the bodice. So ruling a straight line, there's the center of the bodice dart and the bust point. So we've got that position for the end of our new dart. The next thing that we need to do is to measure the skirt dart and then transfer that measurement over to this position. So this is 3 centimeters wide, so I'm going to position it at 1.5 on the center here, and I'll use red now to draw in our final dart position. So where are we? There's 15, okay, here and here. Now we have the positions for our new dart down here, and we can play connect the dots. The next thing we can do is to blend this side seam, and then we add our drill holes to mark the position of the new dart. So I'm not drawing it all the way, I'm leaving a little gap so that I can use the French curve to get a nice smooth blend at this point. Now we can mark in our drill holes. So 15 mils from the top, 15 mils from the bottom, and 5 mils in from the widest point. Now obviously if you were doing this pattern at home or at UTS, you'd be using pencil and you'd be rubbing out your workings as you're going. So that's created a lot of line work over here. So once you've finished yours, you'll be rubbing out all of those lines and you'll be left with the new dart position, which is the one here in red. And I've blended the side seam. So what the next step before you finalize your patterns with seam allowance, grain lines and labeling is just to double check the flow through at the side seams. So we've made quite a big change to the side seam and we want to make sure that they're both in line with each other. So I've anchored the armhole because we haven't changed the armhole and bringing it down to the side, that's looking good. And swinging it across, I've got the hip position in line, the hip notches in line. So I'm really happy with that. What that means is now I've got it in position, I can create a new waist notch that will appear on both the front and the back. Here and here. Okay, a quick note about labeling the darts. Now that we are used to labeling the ends of our darts with dart drill hole so 15 millimeters past, we need to also label this center one. So the end ones will say dart, so 15 millimeters past, and in the center here we say dart, so 5 millimeters past, and so 15 millimeters past. So this labeling you need to replicate on the front. Add your seam allowances all the way around while it's on the fold, and then pin it before you pin it and cut it out before you unfold it. Once you've done that, you'll have your completed dress patterns.